Once again, welcome to the world of work. So guys, we are finally here. After how many years of planning and dreaming?
6 years.
6? Wow, I didn't realize it was 6 years. Okay. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about bad bosses.
Bad bosses.
Yes.
Is that what we want to talk about for the very first time?
I mean,
is it because of your immediate experiences or what?
Well, it depends on who you ask. So the version of Anna you would have asked maybe some years ago, but when I look back, I can't say that I've had a bad boss. Yeah, I mean,
even the term bad boss, it's very subjective, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Because it depends on the issues. I mean, if you say somebody is bad, that term itself lends itself to a lot of, discussion.
It's reminding me of something I used to say with a friend of mine back in uni. Very good bad guy. It was from a song. So I don't know. I mean, good people can also have their bad moments.
Okay.
But
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because you see, when we talk of bad boss, I think we would have to go into the details. But the point I'm making is that, you see, a lot of the time, when we see people and judge them based on our own perceptions, we may be misjudging. Why? When we say judge, a good judge is somebody who looks at all the facts available and decides that you are guilty or you are not guilty. A bad judge will look at one or two issues and pass judgment. So let's hope that when we are talking about bad bosses, in all situations, we have all the facts before we come to a conclusion that this person...
Well,
official expression.
let me put it this way. I think
Okay.
what we are trying to say is that sometimes what someone perceives as a good boss may be a bad boss to another employee and vice versa. So we need to first define what we mean by someone being a bad boss.
Bad boss, okay.
And then we need to look at situations under which those behaviors or traits are displayed. What are the traits associated with bad bosses? And then situations where maybe it's not necessarily that a person is a bad boss, but there's just not the right culture fit or leader-follower fit. So let's take it from that beginning.
Okay. I would say that maybe some of the instances where people have been described to be bad bosses could be maybe a situation where there was poor communication, where there was maybe a misunderstanding of what should be in terms of particular tasks or assignments.
Sometimes we refer to managers as micromanagers and we consider them to be bad bosses because they are micromanaging us. They won't allow us, they won't give us the freedom to work. But that can also be subjective because it depends on the person's experience. It
depends on not just the boss's experience, but then the employee's experience. Because let's assume that I am someone with about 3-5 years working experience. The way you would manage me is different from how I expect you to manage an NSP.
Where NSP
a national service personnel,
yeah.
Because a national service personnel needs a lot of hand holding. So if you are micromanaging a national service personnel, that's understandable. But someone that you interviewed and maybe gave some assignments where the assignments were as if they were going to run the whole company, they come in and then now you want to micromanage them.
I mean, depends. Some people too are. I think I forgot the name of the book, but it's called "Only the Paranoid Survive." It was written by the Intel former CEO at the time, 1995, and so basically, the person may be paranoid, and the person may have attention to detail, and for them, these have been critical to their success. So when you come in there, they're like, "This is what has worked for me in the past, and this is what I rely on." But you come in and see it as micromanaging.
Okay.
You see, so
basically, you need to understand the style of work of your boss.
Yes.
Apart from style, it's also the boss's background, or what has happened in the workplace before. You have somebody who is supposed to know his job. You give him an assignment and he messes up. then you, the boss, you go to management meeting and you are blasted. Would you continue giving the assignment to that person to mess you up so that you go and get blasted? You won't. If he doesn't do it well, you may take it up and do it yourself.
I think before you take it up, give them a chance by maybe explaining exactly what you want, and then if it happens again, then you take it up. It may not be once.
Of course, if it's the first mistake, you decide that you are taking over this. But if you keep on, the subordinate keeps on repeating the same mistakes, there's no point trusting such a person. Whatever he does, you want to micro-check everything.
I don't know. I think I give people the benefit of the doubt there, because if someone is being given tasks and they're not performing to the utmost, you need to find out what exactly is going on. There are so many factors. Sometimes family issues. Sometimes you are just not communicating in that person's language. So don't just assume that the person is not up to the task. Find out exactly what's going on. That is your job as a manager, as a leader.
Of course.
Before you assume that, because if the only person you're having a problem with is you, and you can get along well with your colleagues and other people, then maybe something else is going on.
You mean if the staff is having a problem only with the manager but not with the other
yes
staff? No, but
so what of the instance where it's a culture issue, it's a toxic culture overall? How should one deal with it? So it's not just about the boss, but then the environment itself is toxic, and of course people determine the environment or the culture. So then it's not just the boss, but then the people are toxic.
That environment didn't happen by itself. It must have started somewhere.
Yeah, but
so let's kind of bring it back, because again, we are talking about toxic bosses.
Okay.
Toxic culture is a whole other thing.
So I guess we'll be looking,
because there's other stuff that comes in there, toxic colleagues and stuff like that. But if you are talking about the boss itself, we are talking about toxic behavior there. Are we talking about the boss demanding perfection all the time? Are you talking about bosses who are calling you in the middle of the night when you should? Work-life balance. Are you talking about situations where you have a boss who is a bully, where you don't entertain other ideas, you only want your ideas to be the ones being taken? So that's what we are looking at, and how the employee sees the behaviors. Maybe to the boss, he's being. We've had bosses who have been like, oh, I don't see myself as a bully. I am just someone who challenges people to come up with good ideas. Yeah. And the employees are like, no. He feels like he's swallowing me up, because when I talk, he doesn't want to let me learn. He's overshadowing me, all this kind of stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
But they see like, no, I'm not. Billy, you feel intimidated by me. I thought we were just having a conversation. No, I felt like you were trying to bully me.
But the situation is that sometimes the workplace becomes like home for a number of people, where the father of the home thinks that he's all in all, and when he talks, nobody else challenges him. Now, if a boss has that kind of posture, that I'm the boss over here, then it creates an atmosphere where staff feel intimidated. They can't even contribute effectively. They know that whatever they say, they'll be corrected. Whatever assignment they are given, no matter how well they do it, the boss will tear it up and redo it. That atmosphere can be blamed on the boss, and the person can be said to be a bad boss.
well, regardless of whatever that other person is, I still stand on the fact that how you respond to the situation can sort of minimize the outcome. So let's say,
you mean how the staff responds?
Yes, how I as an employee respond can sort of help the situation.
Yeah.
So if let's
I
say
guess
I realize that my boss is not communicative, I have made that realization. I shouldn't then be like, oh, it's his responsibility. He has to, or he's not doing. What can I do to make the situation better? Maybe when we look at it from that perspective, we can sort of mitigate that kind of situation or trait from a toxic person or a toxic boss.
So I guess what you are saying now is that we've kind of covered a number of the behaviors. We have people who are bullies or perceived as bullies.
Yeah.
People who are perceived as micromanaging. People who are perceived as not having healthy boundaries, like calling you outside of work and stuff like that. And now that we've covered some of these traits, we are now asking ourselves, okay, if these are the traits we've identified, as employees, you can only control your reaction to these things.
Exactly.
How do you manage and deal with these kind of behaviors?
You don't choose your bosses. You don't choose.
Sometimes you get to.
Sometimes you get to.
Sometimes you don't.
In our work situation.
But in Ghana, you don't get
choose
to.
your bosses.
Unless you.
So whatever he is or she is,
you have to learn to manage.
You have to learn to.
Yeah.
Sure.
You see, but it's your responsibility to learn to cope. You know, there are situations where there are bosses who play staff against each other. I mean, they would, yeah, those are very dangerous people.
Sounds like a movie. Continue.
So again, since we identified that these are traits and toxic behaviors or perceived as toxic behaviors, how do you as an employee manage these kinds of behaviors so that doesn't negatively affect you?
Yeah.
Well, so I'll take feedback. I would be proactive and ask for feedback instead of expecting my boss to give me the feedback. I would communicate maybe my working style, that, oh, I like A, B, and C. I will communicate my boundaries.
Okay.
But of course, I have to communicate in such a way that I don't come across as being some way.
Too knowing.
Would you
Yeah.
would you say you are communicating your boundaries, or you ask your boss, you request your boss to define the boundaries for you?
Maybe you can start by asking him what his are, and then going ahead to mention yours as against stating yours. Then now you come to tell him, okay, now tell me what yours are. I mean, if you go with it from the former approach, it will be seen as you willing to understand, and therefore by extension to be understood.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds like Stephen R. Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. See first to understand, then be
And
understood.
be understood. Yeah.
Yeah.
It works for everybody. Seek first to understand. Because, see, like, if you get to know the person very well, the boss very well, you may understand that maybe that person by nature is meticulous about everything. And you may be by nature a bit carefree. If you are working as a carefree person and a very meticulous man, you find that every time there will be friction.
Yeah.
So how do you handle such a person? You do that by trying to, lean over and be more particular about the things that you do, the way that you do your work.
So I think the other things to consider, I think we've talked about some things, talked about communication, seeking feedback, communicating your expectations to the person and seeing what they also expect from you, and doing your best to be seen as a team player, working with them and all that. But there are some situations where it's nobody's fault. I feel like they are just personality clashes. They're just people who don't get along very well. It's not that they hate each other or anything. It's just they just don't thrive.
Socially.
So the other things you can do, sometimes you can try and find other teams to work with. Sometimes you can try and even partner with other colleagues and make sure that it's not only about you. Because if you don't take care, it becomes like you don't like this person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's not that you don't like this person. You just have different ways of working. So when there are other teammates in those meetings, in those assignments, it moves from feeling like a personal thing to being we are just trying to work. If you are not personally driving this person, your colleague who may have a better temperament may be a mediator and may ease the tension. Sometimes finding another team to work in means that, okay, you get to like leave things at peace, where you get to politely exit and then find another team where you work better with.
Where find another
So whether
team means leaving the
department, company, stuff like that. Because sometimes it's just not working. It's not anybody's fault. You just don't.
Just let's agree to
Yeah,
disagree.
that's why culture
and
fit is
keep
very important for all companies.
Sometimes to junior personnel can seek colleagues, senior personnel who are colleagues to the supervisor, and try and find out more about how to deal with such a person.
That can backfire.
Yes,
that can
you'll be seen
backfire
as
hard.
snitching on them, because if, let's say, the other party you are going to may not be emotionally intelligent enough to deduce the situation, they could end up spilling that, oh, you came complaining, and not you came seeking counsel on how to manage this situation. So I feel sometimes it's best to communicate to a colleague on your level who has experienced this person, to understand how they dealt with it, or how they perceived this person or this situation, to assess whether it's your perspective that is causing you. Yes,
No, but
that is off.
we have talked about the situation where you have discussed among yourselves as subordinates to that particular boss, and you have no answer. That's what I'm talking about. If you can't find an answer among yourselves as subordinates to the boss, that's when you reach out to somebody who may be at his level. You don't jump
reach out
into-
to somebody who is not in the organization. If you reach out to
No,
somebody
no,
on
I'm
that
talking
person's
about
level.
no. There was a case where I was dealing with somebody. It was a consulting assignment, and then I was dealing with somebody at a high level, and that person wouldn't see eye to eye with me about anything. So I had a chat with the managing director himself, and he said, "Oh,
The person himself or
with the managing director, no,
of
no.
that person
Yes,
in
I
the
mean,
same
I shared my frustration with the managing director.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, don't mind this person. I know that's how he is. He doesn't understand anything." So
Okay.
then it made me realize that it isn't something that I am finding very odd, but that's the nature of that person.
But you
So-
could have asked literally anybody else and they're probably giving the same answer.
No, because I wasn't interested in, I wasn't trying to find, I just expressed my frustration
Okay.
in working with that particular person.
All right.
So then the man told me, "Oh, I know, I mean, that's his nature." You see, I wasn't going to
But
report him.
how sure are you? So for someone who feels that, okay, I'm not sure if it will be seen as me snitching, it will be seen as me reporting, how can I rightly judge that I am telling this person this situation and I can trust them to keep it confidential?
I think let me put it this way. I think we can. It's okay to disagree. We can leave it to the audience to share their experiences with this particular topic.
Okay.
Because I feel like from both points of view, there are cases where it worked out well and there are cases where it didn't work out well.
Yeah.
So would like the audience to come in and also share their experience of situations where it worked out well, didn't quite work out.
Okay.
But moving from that, is there any other things we can do to deal with these behavior traits? I think a difference of perspective too also helps, which we've kind of already talked about from the beginning, where sometimes you feel the person is micromanaging, but when you have communicated and gone to understand their personality, you realize that it's not personal, it's not about you, that's just how they are.
Yeah.
Even in situations where it is seen as bad behavior by all your subordinates, you realize that that's just how they've lived their life. Don't take it personal. This is just how the person is, so you get to manage them.
Let me give you an example of a superior I worked with. I mean, we had an assignment, a consulting assignment, and an aspect of it was to do presentations, and participants were supposed to have folders with plain papers to take notes. So one of our staff, who, a young graduate, he had been with us for some time, was asked to put 8 sheets of paper into each folder. So the boss came round, and each of the folders, he was counting the papers that were put in there. 8 sheets of paper. He was counting each. So this guy said, "Hey, so I went to university for so long. I've been working for 5 years, and my boss is trying to tell me that I can't count 8." He was so upset. And I said, "Oh, you don't know that your man is particular. He is the type of person, if he's going out of, if he closes and is going out of the office, he will leave the office, come back and check the door, whether he's locked it. He will do that about twice. He just wants to be sure of everything. That is his nature." And I learned from him, because, that idea of being sure that you are right has helped me. I mean, sometimes, even at home, you think that you've locked your door, but in actual fact, you may not have locked your door. Checking and rechecking is something, and accountants benefit from that a lot. Accountants, it depends, the nature of the work too,
will
has something
demand
to do
that
with it.
of
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So, folks, we leave it to you to let us know what situations you have been in that were toxic, for us to discuss more on this.
Anonymously.
Of course, we'll definitely keep it anonymous. And yeah, I guess we'll catch you again next time on World of Work. Bye.